Hello and
Hey,
welcome back. Hey.
what up?
No. Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Simpletons, a fantasy football show. I am your host, Kyle Fridland, joined with me, my brother and co-host, Jacob Fridland, and we are just a couple of simpletons. Once again, we are tackling the AFC here, and we are going to be focusing next on another division in the AFC. We are going to be tackling the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
First team we're going to be tackling here, got the Ravens. Ravens last year were a top team offensively in the league. Lamar Jackson, the number one quarterback, by a large margin. Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in football.
Definitely.
Do you think there's going to be any change on that front?
I don't think so. No, those two guys are definitely top tier dynasty assets. Derrick Henry just doesn't die, bro. He's so old,
He
but he
doesn't
just keeps
die.
chugging.
He's
And
so
he
big.
he's so big. Dude, he's the king.
He's
He really is
massive.
the king. He's such a good running back. And Lamar's, top 3 quarterbacks. So I don't think anything's going to change there.
Now, in a hypothetical world, if Derrick Henry were to get injured, who are some of the running backs that we should look at here?
Yeah, I mean, you have Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
There's Rashid Ali, but he's very deep. So yeah, I think Justice Hill is fine. He's a pass catcher. And that's really all he is. Like Derrick Henry, for the most part, is going to take over the RB game, and I don't think anything's going to change that unless he gets hurt. So you don't need to be drafting any of the other guys. You know, maybe Justice Hill, just because he does get some pass catching opportunities, but I would say for the most part, just don't even look at those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just ride along with the king. If we
Yeah.
look at their weapons, it's a little bit more interesting because we have another quarterback that I don't want to say there aren't top weapons here, but it's not like we don't have like a true standout the guy at the moment.
Yeah, you
I
don't
think,
think Zay Flowers is the guy?
listen, man, I like Zay Flowers, but I think he's a good wide receiver. But I don't think he just gets enough catches. I don't think he gets enough targets to really be seen as like something more. I think he's a top 20 guy, can have great games, but he also has games where he just disappears. And not just like a few games here and there. It's like a good chunk of the season. He can just be written out of the game script completely.
Yeah, fair enough. The Ravens have always usually, relied on their tight ends. So
Yeah.
Mark Andrews being a huge part of that. And more recently, Isaiah Likely stepping in. So um I think that they rely heavily on the tight end game to help with receiving. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Zay Flowers is necessarily the guy on this team, or Rashad. Um, so I think they do. I think Lamar does a pretty good job at spreading it around the board.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was Mark Andrews, but he's getting a little bit older, and so I think likely stepping up. But he's just kind of Lamar's good at hitting everyone. That's why they're a top tier team, I think, too. You know.
With Andrews still being here, I don't think I think Andrews is starting to fall off a little bit as like a big tight end prospect. He got a lot of touchdowns last season. I think it was the most he had in his career in a
Mm.
season, but that likely won't repeat itself. And I think these two will probably cancel each other out for the time being until one of them moves on, which it's going to get to that point. I think Isaiah likely might be on the last year of his contract.
Mhm.
Mark Andrews, there were some discussions, some rumblings that he might get shipped away, but we're not sure about that yet. Uh,
Yeah.
right, real quickly before we leave, I'll just mention for Rashad Bateman here, like he is someone a part of a few guys in the league that are long bombers.
Hmm.
This is a guy that's just going to come in and he'll catch 40 plus yard touchdowns. So you'll start him holding him close to your chest. Either he's going to give you a great game or a terrible game. If
Right.
you ever happen to be in that position where you might have to start him.
Yeah, I think he's fine bench hold, but I wouldn't start him unless you really needed to. And also, real quick, you know, there's another guy we don't have on here, but it's DeAndre Hopkins, and we kind of like faded him out just because he's getting older, and we just don't think his production is going to be, what it once was in his prime. So because of that, we kind of faded him out. But you never know. He could he could do something. We just don't think it's likely based on his previous production last year, the year before. It seems to be steadily decreasing. So
Yeah.
just
Nuke has had a
thought
great career. He's had a
yeah,
great career, but I think it's starting to get on the downturn of that.
yeah, exactly.
Now now next up we're going to go straight to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that has a lot more variety in terms of I have no idea how this team's going to go this season. We've got the oldest quarterback in the league in Aaron Rodgers trying to do his one last ride, trying to do his Kurt Warner,
Hmm,
trying to see if he can get back to the promised land one
right.
more time. I think he'll just be himself. I don't think there's too much to talk about with Aaron. He's not bad, but he's not going to be particularly great at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers has always had a fixation, especially the last few years, with he finds a guy. There's one guy that he likes, and he's like, I'm just going to target that
Mhm.
guy. It's why for this season, I'm actually very high on DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your thoughts here on DK?
I like DK. Um, I think it's just tough because he's on a new team. Aaron Rodgers is on an that same team, but a new team for him as well. Um, and I think there's just a lot of question marks. Like, I think he can easily step in as the guy because he was in the Seattle offense. But I just think it's kind of tough because I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just it's an interesting situation that they're in. Like, for sure he's the most veteran wide receiver. And so I think because of that, he'll get the bulk of the targets. But we just don't know how Roman Wilson will do. We didn't really see much of him, right? Because he got hurt
He was hurt for the majority of last season.
majority of
He's
last season.
complete unknown.
Yeah, exactly. And Calvin Austin has always been just kind of wide receiver three, um, steady guy. Hasn't really produced too much. So man, I like
And
DK, but I'm just not. I'm not sure about this offense. I don't want to buy in personally on anyone in this offense, um, unless it's. I'm more high on the running backs, I guess I should say.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I like Caleb Johnson. And I'm a fan of Jalen Warren. I think they could both do pretty well. I like Jalen with Najee gone. I think he could really step up. And if he doesn't step up to what they're expecting him to be, you know, Caleb Johnson could be the guy. I really like Caleb Johnson's film and his prototype. So that's those are the guys I'm high on. More running backs for the Steelers, but yeah, such an interesting team.
I think it's going to take some time for Caleb Johnson. Like a lot of people are counting on him to just come in right away and be that guy. I don't think that's going to happen.
Mm,
I think they still like Jalen Warren enough and trust him enough to take some of those spots. And I think Caleb Johnson, if he is used, he'd be used in early down stuff, but not a great pass blocker or pass catcher from what I've heard, from what I've
mhm.
seen. So I think they're going to
Yeah.
try to invest a lot of that in Jalen Warren.
Oh, yeah.
If we go back to the receivers real quick with Calvin Austin, let's make this an interesting point. When we say wide receiver three, we mean the wide receiver three of his team. He is not going to be a wide receiver three on your fantasy football team. You'll likely find him in a lot of different waiver wires, and maybe he'll get up to that point, but we're not really sure.
Yep, exactly. I think
Yeah.
he's competing for the wide receiver 2 spot with Roman Wilson from everything that I've seen. Um, you know, it's it's a neck and neck competition right now, so we'll have to see with those guys.
And we've mentioned before about the John Smith trade that ultimately led to Darren Waller going on to the Dolphins. Now he is on the Steelers, and I think that's a bad move for him.
Hmm.
Not as a player, I'm sure he's fine with that, but from a fantasy perspective, I think this is a big downgrade. I think it really hurts Pat Fryermuth, who I added here because he was in the top 10 last year. And I think it's important to let people know his stock's going to drop a lot. He's not going to be a consistent, reliable option. And I don't even think John Smith is going to be a super consistent option either.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm with you. I
Yeah.
think I think it is sad for Pat, like, and Jonnu being as productive as he was on the Dolphins offense, it's just interesting that they would trade him and pick up Darren Waller. But yeah, I mean we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's looking like it could be a split and could be just kind of fun to watch,
Yeah.
see.
Great. Split doesn't do good for anybody. In a tight
Oh
end
yeah,
world where only so many tight ends can be viable, a split just
definitely.
kills it.
For yeah, fantasy wise, I don't think you want to be drafting either of these guys. I
Yeah.
like yeah, Pat used to be the guy on this team and now it's just too hard to tell. I think you shouldn't be drafting either of these guys.
As a
Yep.
Seahawks fan, I have conflicting feelings about Metcalf, but I think of he's the only receiving option that you should draft. He's currently going as the wide receiver 20 right now. Around guys like Devontae Smith and T. Higgins, wide receiver twos. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of volume, and I think he can make something out of it. They paid him a lot of money to do so.
Yeah.
But let's move on from them. Let's move
Mhm.
on to a team that one of the top offenses around, but also one of the worst defenses in the league last year. It kept them out of the playoffs.
Mm.
Cincinnati Bengals. With the Bengals here, I don't think there's a huge amount to talk about. It's a lot of bringing back the same pieces. What worked last season is probably going to work again. Joe Burrow is going to be Joe Burrow. Joe
Oh
Shiesty,
yeah.
as they
Mhm.
call him. He's going to be a top option. As long as T. Higgins and Chase are healthy, he'll be a top quarterback. They're going to be a top wide receiver duo. I think that's pretty much set in stone.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's pretty much the same Bengals team that we saw last year, looks like. No one really knew. The only new and interesting guy is someone that we actually don't have here, but it's Tajay Brooks, because they the Bengals have Zach Moss too, right? Behind Chase Brown. Chase Brown won the backfield last year, you know. So
Yeah.
he's the
That
starting guy. And I don't think there's much that's gonna change that, but I just wanted to note that, they have Taj Brooks, who they drafted this year, and Zach Moss is currently, I think, on IR or pup, but really no competition.
he'll probably be recovering at some point though.
Probably.
I
So
think he'll
there's
be
a
back this season.
yeah, yeah. But Chase Brown definitely a great RB to have. Um, I don't think anyone will cut into his workload unless he gets hurt. So
Real quick,
yeah.
I'm gonna take off my glasses here of a little analyst. I'm gonna put on my fan glasses.
Hmm.
I'm gonna talk about Chase Brown real quick. Taj Brooks, get out of here. Zach Moss, see you later. This is, in my opinion, a top running back to get. Anybody listening to this, go get Chase Brown. Last season, when he was given the rock, he was given the rock. He was given all the carries. He was getting so many catches out of the backfield. I don't know if they're going to run him exactly the same way, but if he even gets 3/4 of that volume, this is an easy top 10 running back.
Mhm.
He was top 5 just off the second half of last season.
Yeah.
I think there is big things in the future of Chase Brown. So
Hmm.
anybody that's listening, please get him. Pick him up when you can. I think he has great value because he's being drafted kind of at top 10, some places outside of the top 10. I think
Hmm.
he is a real gem here in fantasy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what about the wide receiver core here?
Wide receiver
The
core.
the highest paid wide receiver, Jamar Chase. Probably the
$40 million a
greatest fantasy
year.
asset,
$40
I would say.
million a year. I believe T. Higgins is somewhere between 20 to 30,
Hmm.
probably on the higher end of the 20s. This was a power move by Joe Burrow to get
Yeah.
his guys back. And fair to him, he wants to win football games. When you it gets to a point, I mean, it's screwing up their defense a little bit
Hmm.
because they can't find the money to pay certain guys like Trey Hendrickson. But if anything, that's better for fantasy. They were so good last year because they had to score 30 to 40 points just to keep up in a game. So if they have to do that again, by all means, do it. I would love to draft anyone in this room. Maybe not Mike Gesicki, but
Yeah,
anyone else. Anyone else in this room I'm fully down for.
totally. I actually like Mike Gesicki.
I like him
I
a
think
little bit, but
I think he's consistent. He's a great tight end too to have on your team.
yeah,
A
I think
great
tight end is
bench
not
guy.
like the way they go for on this
Yeah.
team, but if you're in a pinch, and especially T. Higgins gets hurt, which happens a lot, I think he'll
Yes.
definitely move up in value.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. And I
Uh,
think huh.
I'm sorry, what was the last point you wanted to add there, real quick?
Oh, I was just gonna say outside of the two wide receivers here, there isn't really much competition. There's a couple guys fighting for the wide receiver 3 spot, you know. Um, Jermaine Burton and
I don't
like
want to talk about Jermaine Burton.
I know Jermaine Burton's
He
an
was a
interesting
disaster
one, but
last year. On and off the field, he was a disaster.
he was. But and I think someone even above him is Andre. Lavis. Lavis?
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, but you don't really have to worry about them fantasy wise. It's
no. And I
um
had him last year. Even when he got his opportunities, he didn't do a lot with them.
yeah.
So I don't think he's really much of a factor as far as like a fantasy asset.
Yeah, exactly.
But who knows? Man, it's so fun talking about great teams, Jake. Jake, do you like talking about great teams?
Great teams are, I mean, quite
Yeah,
frankly,
that's what we
great.
like here.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to take away that happiness real quick because right now we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Woo.
And the first thing I want to mention is what is happening with the quarterbacks? What is this up at the top? So, Deshaun Watson, for anybody that doesn't know, re-tore his Achilles over, I want to say in the winter, had to redo a new surgery, is going to be out for pretty much the entire 2025 season. Maybe his
Mhm.
last down as a Brown. Since then, they signed Joe Flacco. They signed Kenny Pickett. They drafted Dylan Gabriel in the third and then drafted Shador Sanders in the fifth, 100 picks later than anyone thought he would ever go. Is there anyone
Mm.
worth getting in this quarterback room, or is everyone just going to be used this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only guy worth trying, I mean, I'd say there's a couple. Okay, I think it's obvious that Joe Flacco's gonna start it out. Okay, it's between him and Kenny Pickett right now.
Yeah.
But Joe Flacco's been here before, man. He's been on this team, okay, and he's produced really well. He's a great football player, despite his age. He's almost a legend in my book. You know, he's just a great football player. So I can see him starting it out, and Dylan Gabriel and Shador kind of fighting to take over long term. I think that was the hope with them being drafted this year. So, but it's so tough to tell, man. I look into this every day, and
You hear something different every day.
you really do. Like,
It
everyone's hyping up Shador because, you know,
He's
he looked
Shador.
good. He's Shador, son of Deion Sanders, right? He looked good in college. He was one of the top prospects this last draft. And Dylan Gabriel was great too. A little bit of a different prospect though. You know,
Top tier
a lot of
Oregon team
people were
though.
higher on Shador,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. It's really up in the air. Like, there's no telling who's gonna start. You know, I, I can see it going both ways, long term.
Yeah.
But right
I think
now, I don't know,
I don't
Joe
know.
or Kenny Pickett. So
I think the greater issue here is just more I don't even know if it's necessarily long term. I think what's interesting that not a lot of people talk about is with Shador Sanders being drafted as far down as he is,
mhm,
he doesn't have leverage anymore. He doesn't have that idea of, oh, he's a top 10 pick. We kind of have to, even if it doesn't work out this season, we kind of have to just keep going with him because we invest in him.
yeah,
There's no investment. Fifth round pick is nothing. This is a
mhm,
team that if they're as bad as people think they're going to be this season, there's every chance that this could be Shador Sanders' one shot to be the starting quarterback of the Browns. Because next year's supposed to be a loaded QB draft class.
very true.
So he's put in a position where it's all or nothing. If he's the player that he believes he is, that his dad says he is, that the world wants us to believe he is, he's got to show it.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
me personally, I like Dylan Gabriel.
yeah. I like Dylan as well. I think the another tough thing to think about is this is such a stacked QB room that someone is going to be dropped this offseason. Okay.
Yeah, could be dropped or traded. Or
Dropped or traded, yeah, we just don't know.
I think the most likely option is I think this team's going to be bad. Every one of them's going to have a chance to start at some point to mixed and varying results.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't get any less complicated when you talk about the running backs, which should have been simple. It should have been easy. Quinshawn Judkins should have been the guy coming
Yeah.
into day one. But now, because of all the trouble he's been in outside of the football field, he now hasn't even signed a contract. So he's not coming into training camp anytime soon. He's still trying to figure out the system that he's put himself in. He's likely to get suspended before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
We might not see him even on a team facility until a quarter of a way into the season.
Yeah.
And as a rookie, you can't miss that much time. They're not going to suddenly trust him with every carry when he comes in.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it's another great reason, why they drafted Dylan Sampson. Like
Bam.
they could have never predicted that with Quinshawn, but they drafted Dylan. And so that's nice that they have him and Jermaine Ford. Um, and a lot of people aren't talking about this, but I've heard some stuff about Jermaine Ford. He's looking good. He's not a bad running back. He did fairly well for them, when he had the chance to start in years prior. So I'm kind of in on James Ford starting it out early season and, seeing what Dylan Sampson can maybe bring if they put him in from time to time. But yeah, it just sucks that Quinshawn went and did that, man.
No, the whole Quinshawn Judkins situation is it's just one big. That was pretty quiet there, but I think people get the point. It's just not a great situation.
Bruh.
There we go. But Jerome Ford, he'll be okay. He'll be. I think it depends early on in the season though. Early on, they have a bad schedule. They have a tough schedule against some tough teams. I don't know if they're going to get a lot of opportunities to run the ball.
Mm,
So, I don't know. I think for right now, Dylan Sampson might be a guy to watch out for on your waiver wires, whether it's redraft or dynasty.
yeah.
But this is a situation for now. I kind of want to stay away from it.
Mhm.
It kind of ruins everything that Judkins was building.
Yeah.
At least we
Yeah.
can talk about the wide receivers, though. There's some excitement there. We got Jerry Jeudy, who came off easily the best season of his career. We have Cedric Tillman, second-year player, third-round draft pick. A lot of people really like him.
Mhm.
Would have liked to seen more of him last season outside of the concussion problems he had. So maybe we're going to get that chance this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Tillman a lot. I think if he can stay healthy, could be, a force to reckon with Jerry. Um I think they place pretty similar positions because when Tillman was doing really well last season, right? In PPR leagues, he was putting up like 19 points a game, like 3-4 weeks in a row, right? Before he got his concussion. And I think um he was kind of taking that Jerry Jeudy role. So I think it's going to be interesting with them both healthy. I mean, with Tillman healthy and Jerry Jeudy playing how he did after he started filling in for Tillman, how they're going to work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Jerry will be the WR1 just based on his production. He's just, he's a first round pick, star player. He's a good wide receiver. And we'll see what Cedric can do. I'm
I
high
think
on Cedric though.
I think it will just depend on what Jerry Jeudy, because I remember a lot of his top production came from when Jameis Winston was the
Mm,
quarterback, where he threw the ball a lot. That was
yeah.
pretty much all he did. But
That is, he
it's
killed
going to
it.
be interesting to see Judy in a position of, okay, your one big season came with Jameis Winston. What are you going to do now when your back is up against the wall? When you're
Right.
probably going to be in a tough QB room of a lot of QBs that are going to be struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to
And I
be
think
interesting.
David Njoku, um, I think most people can agree he's a great tight end. He's a top 10 kind of
Oh, yeah.
guy as long as he
Oh,
stays
yeah.
healthy. But here's the key with him. He's got to have Joe Flacco. I
Mhm.
say he can be a top 5 tight end if Joe Flacco is his guy for a even a majority of the season. Because Joe
Yeah.
Flacco loves his tight ends. And
Yeah.
he loved David Njoku when he was playing.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Joe Flacco is a pocket passer, man. I think
Yeah.
all of the receiving room will benefit from him being in. So, yeah, my hopes are that he's in. I have Cedric Tillman on some fantasy teams and Njoku, so really like those guys. I think there's big upside there if the right
Yeah.
QB is in. So,
Big
hopefully Flacco.
upside.
Oh
Not
yeah.
a thing you're going to hear a lot about the Browns this season,
Mhm.
but the upside can be there.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. And that just about covers the AFC North here.
Mm.
We have already done a video on the AFC East, and we're going to continue making videos for the South and the West. Make sure to check out those if you get the chance.
Yep.
And we're going to be signing off here.
Cool, cool.
All right. You enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Join
Enjoy.
us. Become a simpleton.
Woo.
Wow.